I saw a clip. We'll get into CB Buckner a little bit more later, but the first clip I saw of him the other day was not only is he famous for having a bad strike zone in general, but there's a clip one year when the Diamondbacks playing the Cardinals. There's an inside pitch on Arenado. It's definitely ball. So I think Marmol was the coach of the Cardinals at the time. He comes out to argue, and the guy, Buckner, is yelling at him, "You just got here. You just got..." Bro, that has nothing to do with arguing balls and strikes. I don't care if he's been managing for 3 weeks or he's been managing for 10. He knows the strike zone, and he knows what to expect. So I think Buckner and some of these guys are just getting a little too touchy because they're getting checked for the first time. Welcome back, bench warmers. Baseball has done some great things with the rules the last couple years. ABS might be the best new rule they've brought into the fold. Now I think it might be time for robots to call all balls and strikes. Abs. I love abs. Guys, how you feeling about abs?
Love it.
All right. Thank you, Aaron, for joining us as always. I know you've been here before.
Course.
You're a hockey analyst typically, but today we're talking baseball. And joining us for the first time, Tyler. Thanks, Tyler, for being here.
Thanks for the welcome.
Absolutely. All right. Now, before we get started, we jump into the abs and what's going on. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes. All right, guys. Abs is in baseball. We're loving it. I'm loving it. So what are your initial thoughts off the top?
I mean, it's fun. Me and Tyler here are wearing our Banana League hats here, so we're all about fun baseball. So I just love the crowd pops. We talked about that a little bit last time with Andrew, just how exciting it is. And then I got to go to a game in between last time and now. I got to the Yoshi bobblehead.
Oh, you went to the Yoshi game?
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
did.
that. Oh my gosh.
I had to sneak that in. So
How much extra did you pay to get in to get the bobblehead and make sure you get one, or who'd you pay for?
So the tickets, I mean, I feel like anything less than 90 is, you can't find that at Dodger Stadium, which is insane for like far as the last row against the top of the stadium. But I think I paid like 120, and they weren't bad seats. They're behind home plate at the
So did you get there at 6 a.m. or 10 a.m.?
I actually got there as soon as we were done recording last episode, and then I was waiting. So.
That makes sense. Okay.
No, actually, we showed up like as doors open at 5, and there's a huge line at the main level, but we just went upstairs and there wasn't as much. So, but I think they were done in the next 40 minutes. So insane. But going back to that game, it was just insane. There was at least in the first 2 innings like 4 challenges that all went the Dodgers' way. So that whole stadium was loving it. They were eating it up. It was. I would say it's the loudest they got that night. Honestly, was for those calls.
That's the weird part about
it. It was a slower game too. So
yeah, true. All right, Tyler. First initial thoughts of the first couple weeks of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been awesome. Like, I think part of the biggest thing that I know Manfred, unfortunately, has been very focused on is pace of play, right? Like trying to get the game quicker and quicker and quicker. And even from everything I've seen, like there's not been a very delayed reaction. It's been 30 seconds normally at most.
Tops.
And it's been very quick. And as we'll get into later, like you'll get some of the umpires and see their reactions to someone kind of second guessing them. Maybe they'll immediately get a strike against them if they call the ball. So I definitely think it's been a very good improvement.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right about the umpires. Some of these guys who have had really big egos a long time are about to get some checks, and we're going to get into that for sure. One of the things I've noticed, I looked at some stats of the first couple weeks of this so far. So overall success rate of the challenge system, 54%. So 315 overturned, 270 confirmed. So, 50-50, which is, I mean, to be honest, most umpires are probably 50-50 on most calls. So we're kind of in the same ballpark. Then when it comes to top performers, Salvador Perez is got 5 turnovers at 71% rate, which I think as a catcher, you're going to have the most idea of what the strike zone is more than any of the batter or the pitcher even, I think, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, I know I looked at a little bit at the numbers, and like there's definitely not a ton of pitchers calling it, which kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like the pitchers are the ones throwing, sure, but they're not the ones that are kind of seeing where the ball actually hits the plane of the
well, that just thinking about your motion, depending on how you throw, like some guys end with their head over here, so they can't even see where the ball is when they let go of their hand, let alone where it crosses the plate. So it's a good point, Tyler.
Definitely true.
All right, so then I looked at top teams. So as of this was just the first 3 weeks or 3 games. The Twins were active those first 3 games, had 11 challenges. That's a lot. Like that's more than 3. That's almost 4 a game. That's crazy. And then so far it looks like about 67% of challenging batters were above average hitters. So it looks like teams are probably trying to tell guys, like, if you're a good hitter, you probably know the strike zone a little better. You have more leeway to challenge. But there's other guys who probably bat 200. It's like, you know what? You can't even hit the ball. So maybe worry about the challenges. Because, I mean, you do get to keep them as long as you get them right. But if you miss 2, then you're out for the rest of the game. And you don't want to lose it in the 3rd or 4th inning, I would think, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of crazy, too, that it is a 2-strike, because a lot of other sports, obviously baseball, a lot of innings, they'll do just the 1 strike, right? So I do think 2 so far has been. I don't think I've seen too many games where teams are out of it because they kind of are more reserved when especially get one wrong. So, but yeah, I think it's so far so good with that setup.
Yeah, and I don't know. I keep going back to the catchers. I feel like, well, and Tyler, you made a good point about the pitchers not probably focusing, not only because they're not looking, but like as a pitcher, you're so focused on trying to get a ball across the plane of the plate in the first place. So you're probably not focusing on where it's getting. But I think the catcher concept of it's going to be really good. I didn't pull this clip, but I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a challenge yesterday in Toronto. Will Smith calls a challenge, and they end up calling it, and it's a strike 3. And Edwin Diaz does this turnaround like, nice challenge. Like you could tell, like even he was like not even thinking it was an option, but it's coming in handy and turning things around, which I kind of think is nice. So,
agreed.
Yeah.
Now, your point. I was going to say your point earlier about Salvador too. Like he's obviously one of the longest tenured catchers currently in the league, so he very much should ideally know where the strike zone is. And a lot of it too, I'm sure there's going to be numbers as we get more into it. You're going to see guys that maybe are better at framing pitches that don't call it as much because they know in advance, hey, I'm framing this, I'm not going to make myself look worse here, right?
You literally read my mind. I was going to lead into that because now there's this new stat because of these flips too, where the system is called, they're calling them K flips or BB flips, which is strikes and walk flips. So it's a strike out called, but then it gets flipped by the challenge. So they're keeping track of those, how many times that happens. Now, I did notice the other day the Diamondbacks were in, I think it was the Mets on yesterday. They played a game where it was a full count, or it's 2-2 count. The pitch was thrown, they struck him out, and he challenged. It turned out it was a ball, so it made a full count. He gets a hit, 2-run score to tie the game. Now they end up losing 3-2 in the extras. But without that challenge, there's no 2-2 tie to even get to extras. So it is a huge difference maker. I'm super excited about a playoff challenge.
My gosh.
It's going to be the best.
Especially playoff vibes. Like, I mean, obviously, as both of you have already said, just the general stadium vibes you've had for the first couple weeks of the season. Like, you're talking October baseball in a challenge. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah. And I also hope, and this is a weird tie-in, but I kind of hope the energy from the World Baseball Classic and how that is, I know we're not going to get to that point in the World Series because there's too many old white guys that like baseball, but if we could get to more of that type, especially at least in the playoffs, and you have the challenge, I mean, I think the two things combined could kind of really make October even more special, which I love October baseball, but that's a whole thing that we got to wait for because it's only April. So, and
just get started.
We'll see the Dodgers play somebody. We just don't know who yet. Anyways, so now we talked about a little bit about umpires and how they're probably not going to be happy. So I found an article from The Athletic by Sam Bloom. There's a couple quotes in here I wanted to give that you guys can get your thoughts on. The first one was just really a question in the article. What is a strike? And the answer traditionally for MLB umpires was a strike is whatever I say it is. That's not the case anymore because we have an actual strike zone and challenge, which is nice. One of the people they offered to talk to in this article who gave a quote was former MLB umpire Joe West, who's known as one of the most old school guys probably ever in baseball. His quote, I guess I'm old school. Yeah, we know, Joe. Because I believe that umpires have their specific little strike zones that may be an inch off here or an inch off there. But I think the biggest thing is consistency of the guy behind the plate. To my knowledge, the system hasn't been proven perfect, West said. In fact, it's clear to the extremes that the system is not perfect. Well, no, it's not perfect, but neither is a human back there. So at least we can hopefully get more right than more wrong now with abs, I think, in the system, right?
Yeah,
that would be the hope.
So, I mean, I think it's one of the Twitter accounts I like following. I think it's Scorecard or something like that.
Yes, I love them. They are the best. Yeah. They are the best.
So they're solid. I was curious how exactly they would be kind of taking some of those things with respect to the ABS system, right? And how that would change. And I think, honestly, like stuff like that might be a very valid reason why baseball self-consciously realized, hey, like if it's very clearly data-driven that our umpires are maybe missing balls in the lower half of the strike zone or this strike zone. I mean, I get where Joe West is coming from. Yes, consistency is the most important thing, certainly. But if a guy has a consistently short strike zone, that's kind of a problem. One of the other factors I think that a lot of people didn't notice initially was because you have to be so calibrated in with all these 30 different ballparks, you have guys that are listed at 6'2" and are now actually
I saw this.
Like Gavin Lux, for example.
I saw this.
Because everything, I'm sure short kings everywhere are going to be very sad about this.
Oh, no.
It's something of like, it's crazy the unexpected consequence, I guess you could say, of like something like that where you realize, because you have to be so accurate now, that actually kind of helps too. I mean, everyone's body's different. Everybody has different leg lengths, different torso lengths. We get that.
Yeah, we get that.
I think it just makes it better in terms of kind of aggregating the game more appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron, your thoughts on umpires and why they're mad, even though we all know why.
Well, it was going to be no surprise. Yeah, I mean, that was something that has been, I would feel like, a huge impediment to anybody new to baseball is seeing one game, seeing something be called one way, and very clearly, especially watching from home, and you have
thank you. I was just going to say, if you're watching from home and you can see the box on TV and you've never watched the game before, and they're like,
you're at
what
the
does
ballpark.
This box mean? And you explain, then why don't we just use it for every pitch?
I think it's right there. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, yeah, different in the ballpark when you're all the way up, like where I'm at the Dodgers game, top deck, because that's all I can afford, right? And I can be like, that was obviously a strike, and I'm a million miles away from a satellite, you know. But no, on TV, you got it right there, and yeah, I just can't imagine being a fan, you know, just trying to learn the game and getting into it, and feeling like, well, I mean, I don't know what the point is of what we're gonna do. We're just going based off what the ump says, and there's just countless clips online of like umpires ejecting guys for heckling them when it was someone in the stands.
Yeah.
What was that? That was a
Aaron,
famous one.
Oh, dude, that
gosh, who was the Yankees manager?
Aaron Boone
No,
for
it
the
was
Yankees.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
my
by
gosh.
far
He's
one
like,
of the,
it wasn't me.
Again, these umpires have had so much control of the game for so long, and honestly, I saw a clip. We'll get into CB Buckner a little bit more later, but the first clip I saw of him the other day was not only is he famous for having a bad strike zone in general, but there's a clip one year when the Diamondbacks playing the Cardinals. There's an inside pitch on Arenado. It's definitely ball. They call it a strike. So I think Marmol was the coach of the Cardinals at the time, if I remember correctly. He comes out to argue, and the guy, Buckner, is yelling at him, you just got here. You just got, like, bro, that has nothing to do with arguing balls and strikes. I don't care if he's been managing for 3 weeks or he's been managing for 10 years. If he's a former player also, he knows the strike zone and he knows what to expect. So I think Buckner and some of these guys are just getting a little too touchy because they're getting checked for the first time, which I kind of like.
Yeah. So. They've had it too good for too long, I think, right? I mean, it's accountability.
Could you imagine if Angel Hernandez hadn't retired? He would.
Oh my gosh, he got out at the right time.
I would love to watch him do a game right now. Oh, I used to hate him as soon as I saw his name as the umpire card, but today, behind home plate, I think I'd be okay with it.
I think today, if he was out back there calling balls and strikes, you just challenge every time. If it's not, if it's just like, I mean, you're probably like more than 60% chance you're just gonna go your way. So.
Oh my god!
Both teams' managers meeting before the game. They're like, "Okay, guys, so every ball we're gonna count.
Yeah,
right? Like we're just gonna
just to make the point. Oh god, that'd be great. Oh my gosh, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a couple clips that I talked about one of this already. The first challenge walk-off win. So I'm gonna show you the clip. It's not a whole lot to it. It's just the fact that it actually happened because we knew it was going to at some point, but when was it going to? So let me pull up this clip real quick and get your guys' thoughts on the first one of all time. All right, so the first one I'm going to share with you guys here, like I said, is the first walk-off win in history of an AB. So let me...
Like that. Oh, Basayo's going to challenge.
I mean, yeah, you see it right there.
Yeah.
We have not seen a challenge end a game yet. ABS powered by T-Mobile.
He goes, yep. Has to turn around. I love that, too. They have to turn around and face the stadium. And, there it is.
It wasn't even like it was a corner pitch.
It was a good chunk of the ball.
Of the plate.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the other thing, too. Like, I get when there's ones that are, like, way off, but there's no reason to, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. So, I don't know, but that was the first one I wanted to show you guys. And then, you know, we talked about the ABS they watched on TV with the screen. Yeah. I know there was talk of before the season started of maybe taking that off the broadcast, but is that maybe only in the dugouts so the players can't yell challenge to Astros kind of stuff?
Giving signals, right?
Because the Astros do weirder shit. So
yeah, very true. Obviously, I mean, I think that would definitely make sense, though. I mean, because I think the biggest thing, as you kind of mentioned earlier, Corey, like when you have fans that are still kind of getting into the game of baseball, you know, we're assuming that the vast majority of people who are getting into baseball didn't play growing up, didn't watch it growing up. So it's something where having the strike zone and kind of helping familiarize them helps. And even to a lesser extent too, like you have all the kids that are playing the show. Like it's obviously kind of declined a little bit over the time, but when you're playing, like a lot of times those lower level games, like you immediately have the strike zone. You kind of learn what the strike zone is depending on the batter.
Correct.
Not having that, maybe for somebody that's a seasoned baseball player, like I think we could certainly watch it and it would be fine. But even for when you're kind of not paying attention and you're seeing a strike that clearly was called a ball, it's fascinating that you actually have tangible proof and able to back it up now instead of just moving on to the next pitch.
Yeah, like I know you're going to get thrown out for still arguing balls and strikes, but at least now you can look up at the screen and have like a fact behind you to argue it. So that makes it a little bit more fun. All right, so now we've talked about Buckner a few times. We got to show a couple clips of him because it's out of control. The first one we're going to show is the clip of him when the Red Sox were in Cincinnati. This was, I believe, the first weekend of the season. And there's just, I don't know, 2 challenges back to back that you lose, and the way that you act right after it. The fans loved it, but let's check out this clip.
To this point, here comes the 1-2. And in there.
Hey, close call on this one, I will say.
Now they're going to challenge this.
Yeah. Comes through.
You can already tell he's mad.
Yeah. He's got a face about it already.
Love it. Crowd goes crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, now question for you guys. Yeah, okay, now see, it's very close. I'm not saying he's a terrible as like 8 inches off. Now, there is now thinking back to the way these umpires think because of ego and how they've done this for so long. Mm-hmm. In the past, if this call is made, and the player argues, but it's still in the at bat, do you not think as a human you have like, all right, if this next pitch is close, I'm going to call it against you, right? Like just normal human instinct at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even a lot of times it's not even like if the pitch is close. Sometimes it'll be very clearly a ball, then they'll call it a strike. So, yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so think about that when it comes to the second pitch because look how close this one is compared to the next one.
Not missing by much. No. One of the things talk about the ABS challenge, and you might have to figure out these umpires pretty good. 3/10 of an inch.
So 2-2. ABS powered by T-Mobile. He'll try again.
Hey, now, I can tell you that's a ball right now.
You don't need the strike zone to see that.
I
it's
don't.
Just
I didn't
so
even
far
need it on
off
the
home
screen.
plate. And he's trying to get him out. Clearly. And then that stuff would hold up back in the day. Like,
you think I was wrong?
crazy.
Now watch this. That's worse.
Yeah, objectively. Like, it's not even close to a corner. Like, I think there's something to be said about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yellow
you got to see Buckner still scoring. Like, just come on, man. Stop challenging me my game. Like,
yeah.
Now, I will say at the end of this, Suarez here is going to ground out into an inning play. So it's not like anything comes of it.
No.
But what could have not happened is these 2 pitches and maybe the even possibility of this bases loaded situation, coming to fruition for the Reds 2 pitches ago. But ultimately, like I said,
changes it, yeah.
In a second.
Yeah, it's just grounded.
Not a whole lot there. But again, Buckner and his just whole attitude and the way going about it. And again, I think almost using it as I'm going to get you on the next one because you challenged me.
Yeah. You see it all the time.
Yeah. It's just retaliatory. It's just not necessary in the game. So I
could
think
even be like unconscious too. Like, they just happen. It's just part
unconscious
of being
bias,
human, right?
as they say. Yeah,
exactly.
You're not thinking, but also because again, these guys have had so much control for so long and now they're losing some of it. I think it's getting to them, which again, I kind of like, so I'm not even.
I think we'll see some, especially umps who've been around for a while, start to announce retirements or you'll definitely get some guys that just don't want to deal. That they've had the game a certain way for so long, and they're just like you said, I'm old school, right? Like just to have that type of like, well, I'm not for this. I'm not going to be a part of this. So and you'll see new guys come up too.
Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some younger umpires and some people who actually like learn and pay attention to the actual strike zone instead of just it's my strike zone my way, like, which is stupid. Okay, now you mentioned some of these guys might have to go into retirement because of this. Now, again, I'm not trying to pick on Buckner, but it just seems like everything comes up on him lately these first couple of weeks.
The star.
So this is another play. Now, this isn't a play at home plate and an ABS related, but it's just a challenge related play. But again, it just shows you that you really got to pay attention to what you're doing when you're out there as an umpire. So let's check out what Buckner did on this game in Milwaukee because he called a guy out, but if you look at the thing, I don't think he was even looking at the play. So let's take a look at this one.
Bowers. And out of the glove of Williamson. Throws the first. It's wide. It's backed up.
Okay, now before we say anything, just looking at this play on the video, if you're watching on YouTube with us, that ball went over the first baseman's head and to back to the catcher. Okay, so this guy is definitely safe at first, but let's watch what continues.
Heck of an effort by Williamson at second.
Runner did not touch first base and then was put out.
So the call from C.B. Buckner is that Jake Bowers missed first base and then was tagged out. Not that he made a move to second base and was tagged out, that he flat out missed the bag. And I think that is the horrendous call. Where is C.B. Buckner looking?
He's not even looking at
Me?
it. Why would he even say that?
C.B. Buckner was not even looking at the play.
He's doing the whole finger point and
And
everything.
watch.
Right on top of
Hey,
first
one, the
base.
throw
I'm
is not
sure
even
what CB
close. Now,
Buckner's
where is
looking
Buckner
at there.
looking? Is he
That's
looking at first, or is he
I'm really
watching the
excited
ball?
for him to have the
Because
plate
I can't
tomorrow.
tell.
Yeah.
I mean, just obviously we can't tell exactly what his eyes are, but it
Yeah.
clearly looks like his face is headed towards it.
That's just a waste
Correct.
of time.
Like he's
reviewing
following the
that.
tracking of the ball to see where it's going to end up. Because one, if it ends up out of play, then the runner gets to go to second automatically. So I'm assuming that's what he's watching for. And he clearly, as you can see, steps in the middle of the first base. So there's no question there, but let's see what happens.
I can't wait to see. Buckner was not even looking at the play.
He stepped right on top of first base. I'm not sure what C.B. Buckner's looking at there. That's
Oh my.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you
Well,
see
I'm
the
really
immediate
excited for him to have the plate tomorrow.
first base coach is out there.
And the runner obviously turns to the right too. It's not even like he
Yeah.
tried to advance to the next base.
No.
That's just a waste of time reviewing that.
At least review is available so you can get it right.
They had to waste the challenge. Not that they lost it,
Everybody
obviously.
laughing
But
at
No.
that call.
now this is my favorite part. After this is over,
Kevin
the
Cash
coaches.
is laughing. Look at Murph. Those two guys are laughing. I can't wait to see that text chain between those two guys.
He's like, why did I have to challenge that shit?
Oh man. I missed this. I didn't see this at all. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like the calls are like you're not even looking at the bag, and even if you're not looking and the ball goes over here, why did you assume he didn't touch first base when there's no one there to like be in his way?
Impede him or anything, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a
My
very
only thought-
weird.
Not that I'm a CB Buckner apologist here.
Oh, you
my
are
only
now.
thought
You
is-
just said it.
Yeah, apparently. Watching the second part of the clip is my only thought is maybe with the first base coach basically pointing to the runner, hey, get on the bag. Maybe he could have seen that as like you maybe missed the bag, but even then.
But if you didn't see it, you can't call it that way.
No, yeah.
And these are pro athletes, right? Like, yes, there are times where if you're rounding a base, like they're very clearly going to miss a base sometimes, but just touching first base, I mean, not to talk about the wonderful Savannah Bananas here, but you know, they very clearly, like, they've had that issue too, like with back when they started as like a summer ball team. So they have two sets of bases, and it's different.
Yeah.
Like, that's very grown up playing baseball. It's very kind of softball-esque, unfortunately, in terms of the negative stigma to it. But I don't know if baseball's ever going to get to that point. But I mean,
No.
the bases are wider than they used to be, so it's almost more difficult to miss a base.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I kind of forgot we made the bags bigger. That's a good
Yeah,
point.
trying to steal.
That's why stealing
well.
supposed
Prove
exactly
stealing.
right. Stealing improves when the bags are bigger to catch up.
Yeah. So, and then the reason I brought up the Buckner and you said to retire part is the next day he was behind home plate. I don't have a clip for it. I'm just going to explain it to you. And there's a tipped pitch by the batter, and it hits him like straight in the mask. I mean, just there's no getting out of the way. It's flush in there. He falls to his knees. He obviously is okay. He's taken out of the game. He hasn't come back yet. Is that the baseball gods telling him to stop fucking around with the strike zone?
Oh.
Is that just me thinking that?
Nope.
Or- okay.
It's not an endorsement, that's for sure.
Good old FAFO moment.
Exactly. I mean, again, the baseball gods, basketball gods, the hockey gods, those things are real. You don't cheat the game because it's going to cheat you back if you don't.
Comes back around.
Ball
Okay,
don't
now-
lie.
Ball
Yeah,
don't lie.
exactly. Ball don't lie. All right. Now, another one I want to show. We talked about a little bit. I don't know if we talked about it on here before we got on, but what is the definition of a strike now that we have the strike zone? Because obviously, if it touches the strike zone at all, it's a strike, according to ABS. But now there's this one call I want to show you guys because Jose Altuve is kind of a short person, let's be honest. So the strike zone's a little different for him, but the fact that this is a strike, I have no problem with or whatever, but I just want to hear your guys' thoughts on what is a strike and what is not based on how much it touches the zone. So let's watch this one.
3 balls and 2 strikes. And he takes, there's a challenge from Langoliers, the first of the game, the first of the ballpark in West Sacramento. Big spot here. It's an ABS challenge powered by T-Mobile, and it is a strike.
Now, this is the stuff that you do here. Yeah.
That's my question.
Right?
Now, again, barely touching the zone, but technically it did go across it. So what are your initial thoughts before I give you another idea or concept based on this?
Well, initially, you see that it's Altuve, and I go, oh, yeah, absolutely, that's a strike.
All the cheating. Again, baseball gods come back to you, man.
Yeah, exactly. Coming back around, stealing signs. I mean, it's so niche. It's and I know I'm the hockey guy over here, but bringing it back to when they had the offsides challenge, it's
True.
the element of, man, what at what point does the spirit of the rule, outweigh the actual fact of it? Because you look at something like this and you're like, wow, there's no way that you would normally see that as being a strike. It would have definitely been called ball because it's just so low.
Okay,
and you did mention his height too, right? And
but you say that you say it would be called a strike, but would it or a ball? But would it have been? Because if each umpire has their own strike zone,
that's the problem.
Maybe this was in Joe West's strike zone, so that's why I asked the question. Tyler, your thoughts on if this should be or not be, or what the amount of in touching of the zone?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's very difficult as a fan my whole life to say letter of the law. Objectively, it's a strike because it has 0.001% of the strike zone. But I think the biggest thing that would be kind of a counter argument to that too is, okay, what's your parameters for what is a strike and what isn't a strike? Then does it have to be 1% of the ball? Does it have to be 0.1? And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, not that you can really get into the calibration. Like there's a bunch of ways you can take it, right? I've always found that growing up, kind of like you were mentioning earlier, Corey, with different umpires, it's almost more about the way that the catcher can really frame the pitch, right? Like there's guys growing up that, like Benji Molina, for example, wasn't
one of the
nearly
best.
A good defensive catcher, but he surprisingly was okay at framing. So being able to move the ball to that kind of location where it makes the umpire think the plate, the plane had been crossed during the pitch, right? Unless there's a way you can conceivably make it where there's a better argument to be made about what percent of the ball, it sucks, but it's a strike. Like,
the reason I asked you guys that question, because I'm going to scroll up here, and if you're still watching on YouTube, you'll see. A called ball is when none of the ball enters the zone. As soon as it breaks the plane, it's a strike, just like in football. When it's a touchdown, when the ball breaks the plane, it's not 50% of the football, not 10%. As soon as the tip of the football breaks the plane, it is a touchdown. So by that rule and way of thinking, then it kind of makes sense that that's a strike, even if it's touching the zone, right?
Yeah,
it does. Yeah,
that definitely makes sense. It's kind of, I think, as hockey guys too, like it's something that,
true.
Obviously, in hockey, it has to completely cross the zone or cross the goal line, obviously. So, I think that, especially with the way baseball is, like you can't have a pitch that has to be fully and completely inside the strike zone to be called a strike. Like, I think at the end of the day, like the tip of a ball being a strike, or the little bit of the laces, obviously, like that's kind of tough. But yeah, I mean, I think
like you said, but then it becomes 5%, 10% of it has to touch. And then now we got to measure the ball to see what percentage. I mean, then it's just I know we have the capability and stuff to do it with all the technology, I'm sure, but it just makes it that much more complicated.
Yeah, you're really splitting hairs at that point. But I think what you brought up, Corey, is a good point, is this scenario where something like this, where you really feel like, man, that could have been easily a ball. But if it's consistently called and you have that more uniform calling of the game versus ump to ump, like things being different, I think in the long term, you'll have individual moments like this where you have a controversy a little bit, but in the long term, you'll have a better, more consistent game, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
I think, as I mentioned in the beginning of the episode, I think abs should be all for every pitch. I don't even think it should be a challenge system. It should just be every single pitch should be beep, strike, not beep for a ball in the umpire's head. He does the hand motion and we keep moving. Now, that doesn't mean we're getting rid of the home plate umpire. They still got to play plays at the plate. Maybe that's where they can focus on the check swing, so we don't have to have a challenge system for that instead of asking the guy at the other side of the field who's not even probably paying attention at that moment for that until you ask him, and then he's like, yeah, he's good. Like, I don't even know if he's actually paying attention. So you still have to do that. There's plays at the plate. There's box. There's other things you have to keep the game in control, the clock and the mound visits. So it's not that we're taking your job away completely. We're just altering it and making it, honestly, a little bit easier and less you have to do. Now, if someday we get to the ballpark and the system doesn't work and it's down, then we have to do a game old school. That's okay. We've done NBA shot clocks where they have to hit the horn manually because the clocks don't work. Like, we can figure it out if it doesn't work on that day. But if we have the ability to get it right, then let's get it fucking right. Like, what's the point?
Yep. We have the technology. Let's use it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just really excited about abs so far. Now, the Diamondbacks are 6-6, so we're 500, so I'm excited about that. And then the Dodgers, whatever, who cares? Tyler, I know as an Angels fan, there's not a lot. You don't care about winning in your top 5 points of the team.
Very clearly not top 5.
Initial thoughts on Adele's robbery and then the fight yesterday just because it happened, and now Solaire's suspended for 7 games. What are your thoughts on the initial beginning here for the Angels?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest thing going into this year, like, I think even for non-Angels fans, having a fully healthy, legitimate season for Mike Trout is kind of what a lot of people have been asking for. So, watching the series against the Mariners, it's very rough to have it so quickly into the season, immediately getting hit twice, obviously the second time he gets taken from the game. And I think the biggest thing, like, I've been pretty outspoken. I've been an Angel fan my whole life. Like, some of my earliest memories are about going to the games with my dad and going to games with my grandpa and stuff. But it's been frustrating seeing, even when Mike gets hit, there's no reaction from the team. Mike's frustrated. He leads the game. You don't get warned necessarily, but you're not throwing at the Mariners. I don't necessarily know if I fully agree with the Mike gets hurt, so you should hurt J-Rod, right? Like,
no, but
really good for the game.
I agree, but the fact that your manager is a former MLB catcher, he knows the rules of the game and how that goes, so he would know where or who to hit in the Mariner lineup to send the point that we get it, but also, like, cut the shit. Like, let's just get back to the game.
100%. And I think the biggest thing, like, kind of with the overall style, I think that it was very kind of opposite for the way that the team seemingly was obviously behind Soler when it came to their whole fight. Like, I remember we were working the Ducks game, so we didn't watch a ton of it at the time, but we were able to go back and kind of look at, I think it was one of the different Twitter videos had showcased, basically they were showing the replay initially of kind of, them talking basically, and then initially Soler obviously comes out, he challenges Lopez to a fight, and then from there, a lot of people rewatching it have kind of noticed, hey, Lopez had the ball in his hand. That's kind of weird.
And Solaire's a former Brave, so obviously these guys have been teammates, what I've read too. So maybe there's something from before that we don't know that came from the locker room that is now onto the field on the opposite side.
We very much don't know that. I mean, I think Walt Weiss, very much is a fan of the Oklahoma drill, seemingly, being able to take down Solaire like he did.
He was just trying to protect because he also was the manager for him while he was there, I think, or one of the coaches. So
so I mean, I think it's just the de-escalation, right? Like, one of the greatest moments a couple years ago from the Angels was when, there was a fight, and that's probably the second best thing Rendon ever did as an Angel. Not that I like talking about him. Suspended in a game in which he's injured, right? And it's impressive. Just the talent.
Like Tim Duncan got a technical and he was in street clothes one day, but
and he's just looking. He's like, "What? I can't even play. How am I getting a tech? Like, just." Well, and it's funny to me if, like, we're talking earlier about, like, the first walk-off that happened with the ABS system.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me kind of a little different celebration-wise, but one of the first home run reviews that Mike Morse did when he was playing for the Nationals, and he basically
he had the fake run around.
He even did the fake swing, and, like, he ran around the base. It wasn't as crazy as that,
because even he was like, swing and then run.
Should I do it? Should I not do it? Like, I'm happy he leaned into it, but I mean, I think the biggest thing, like, not that I try to be a pessimist when it comes to Angels baseball. I think it's pretty well known. It's been a very long couple years. I think the biggest thing is just okay. Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. It's really just trying to see people get healthy. Like, I know Stevenson was announced out for the year today. He's pitched 10 innings total over his 3-year deal. That's not great, but it's just realizing the team just kind of needs to be able to grow and really be able to have those young guys kind of still get the at-bats. So, I mean, I know Aaron was sad to see Taylor Ward leave. It was kind of his favorite Angel. So it's something that...
Yeah, he's doing better in Baltimore.
I want to be cautiously optimistic, but it's also like...
it's okay to be cautiously optimistic in April. When you get to June, stop.
Fair.
Stop.
Yeah,
okay,
true.
all right. Okay, Aaron, let's get your thoughts on the Dodgers so far. What do you... Anything?
Well, there's not much to say. It's just win. No, I mean they've looked pretty good. They have their rotation rolling. Dodgers really nothing to report until you get later into the year, right? I mean, the money machine's turning.
Injuries. The guys are going to go on the IL for 5 or 10 days or miss a start here and there to rest. Like, they're going to play the long game. They
just need to watch out for the troubles they had last year, which was their bullpen issues that they somehow managed to escape in the playoffs. They just literally outscored their problems and had a lot of,
you get Edwin Diaz to close at the back end, so that solves that problem. 2, Tanner Scott usually doesn't have 2 bad years in a row, so he'll probably be back to normal this year. So there's a lot of things going right there. Obviously, I think Sasaki's the biggest question in the rotation. Yep. If it doesn't work out, maybe come October you put him back in the bullpen again, but you don't need him as a closer with Diaz. I don't know. There's something to use him for when it comes down to it, but I just don't know if he's ready for an all-year starting position.
All-year starting role, yeah.
We'll see how. But they have plenty of guys, so they'll be fine.
That's the thing, yeah. They're super deep, and so it'll be fun. You get to enjoy one more year. I was telling Tyler their player intro. They're playing "Bad Guy" by Billie Eilish, and they're embracing what's so wrong about being the bad guy, you know.
You should, because everyone's watching you anyway and mad at you, so you might as well embrace it. And there's not one particular person that's the bad person. Like when the LeBron James went to the Heatles, it was like everyone hated LeBron. Nobody hates Ohtani. Nobody hates Freeman. They just are upset with the Dodgers as a whole.
Tyler does. Tyler's not.
Okay, maybe as an Angels fan, you're not happy with him.
As I'm wearing the firefighter hat, I got a couple hot takes there.
Well, you can't blame him for leaving, though. So I mean,
no, not at all. I mean, even with Freddie, like, I think it was very well known, like the whole thing of, not initially being offered the Braves' best offer. He very clearly didn't really want to leave. I mean, he's exactly, and he's a SoCal guy. Like, he grew up in Orange, like he played for El Medina, so it's not like I was expecting him necessarily to stay in Anaheim, but definitely to have. I mean, at the time, no, I mean, it's just
honestly
it's
him, Trout, and Ohtani wouldn't have been a bad trio in the top of the lineup.
Yeah,
just saying.
Well, the niche of, at least the reason supposedly why the Angels didn't take a run at him, other than the Rendon thing, was at the time they had Jared Walsh, who had just come off an All-Star year. He had some vision problems, very much fell off the face of the earth seemingly, got released, ended up in Texas. I'm pretty sure he was on the championship winning team in Texas. So, like, I'm happy for him. Like, it sucks objectively watching the Ducks, like, seeing so many former players go on and win championships, right? But it's something that, I think the biggest thing is you can still root for guys. Like, even if a guy's not on your team anymore, you can still root for him.
Unless they're a former Diamondback and they go to the Dodgers. I'm not rooting for that guy. Sorry, can't.
Yeah, no, they're dead. So I understand that. I
join the dark side
for that one. Yeah, exactly, right. But I mean, as I was telling Aaron when he told me about the bad guy thing, like, I kind of respect it, but also I feel like it's kind of like you're trying to play too much on the Yankees evil umpire thing.
Oh, big time.
I appreciate a good bad guy. I appreciate a good villain. I think villain storytelling can be very appealing. My personal favorite movie is The Dark Knight. I love Batman, but it's not necessarily because I think Christian Bale was an amazing Batman. He was, by the way. But
he was, except for the voice. I hate his stupid voice. Stop doing it. Just talk like a person.
But I think a lot of it is, when you have a compelling villain, like, obviously, and I'm sure part of it with Heath Ledger was the fact that, he did obviously pass away, before the movie really got released. And it was something that when you have a compelling villain, 99% of the time, you're going to make the hero story that much better. So,
yep, true. So let's, okay, so if that's the case,
yes,
Dodgers are the devil. Arizona's going to beat them in the playoffs and win the World Series and shock the world. Okay, got it.
How could you say he's evil? Look at him. Look at him.
Hey,
he's
we
so
were in the
happy.
World Series, the year before you won your 2 in a row. So technically, we started the NL West domination of the National League Championship.
How about we get Donald Glover off the screen here, Aaron? Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, just
childish Gambino.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron's seen a couple gifts from me whenever the Dodgers seem to win, or whenever the Dodgers seem to lose, especially. The one I particularly love breaking out is, I think it was probably 4 years ago now at this point. It was the series the Padres beat the Dodgers in. And the famous gif of the Padres fans high-fiving each other.
And then flipping off.
Yeah, exactly.
Just turn around.
I love it because it's so perfect because you can tell that it's like I'm doing it, but I'm not doing it because I hate you. We're having fun, but like F you at the same time, man. Like, we hate you. I love it.
Hey, they earned that one. They haven't had much to celebrate, so they earned that one.
Okay, you guys want to hear a story? So I went to a Diamondback Padre game in this is probably 2007 or 8. Me and my buddy drove down to Petco. So we sit there. He's a Dodger fan, but he's just going with me to go to the game. He doesn't care about either team, Dodgers, Padres, or Diamondbacks, Padres. So as we're leaving, because of course I'm wearing a Diamondback shirt and hat, and we're leaving, and we won. So we're walking up the stairs, and my buddy and I are literally just talking to each other. And these 3 Padre fans, they're probably about our age at the time, mid-20s, start just, Diamondbacks suck, you guys, blah, blah. I was like, we just beat you guys. You guys suck, blah. I'm like, have you ever won a World Series? No. I was like, okay, so then what are we? Well, that doesn't matter. And then my friend, who's a Dodger fan, what do you mean it doesn't matter? What are we playing the game for if it doesn't matter? What are we doing here? So Padre fans
didn't know
are
they were
not
related
necessarily-
to Arte Moreno. They realized that
you know
winning is
what?
not
That's
part of the
probably
game.
probably his nephews. Yeah, that
Yep,
makes sense.
yep.
Okay, all right.
It's the classic little brother mentality, which I know the Ducks employee in us has never experienced.
Oh, we never do that.
Right?
No, never, not at all. Of course not.
Orange country.
All right, so we've updated you on each of our favorite teams and where they're at. Unfortunately, the Dodgers are the better team. Diamondbacks are right in the middle at 500, and the Angels are below. But exciting, at least something crazy shit's going on at the
Looking better
stadium.
so
Maybe
far.
not winning, but it's fun.
good.
So that's good.
It's going to be a good experience no matter what, apparently.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Any last thoughts from you guys on abs and anything else, or what you're hoping for? What is there some crazy thing we haven't seen yet you're expecting out of abs? Any thoughts?
I think I'm waiting just to see that controversial review that even something goes wrong with the tech and they've made the challenge and there's just now they have to defer to what was called, but like, they just have a nod. Something
okay.
weird to go awry on something that even like the casual observer couldn't tell you what the right call is, right? I think that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
all right.
kind of piggyback on that. What I'm personally waiting for, because I do like to see the world burn. I'm really waiting to see the first real manager that gets a challenge wrong, or maybe the manager that loses a challenge that costs his team a game. Like I'm ready to see him get tossed and get in a confrontation with an umpire because of that. So I think that'll be fascinating. I think one of the things that we've kind of looked into a little bit last year for the Arizona Fall League, which is kind of viewed as MLB's testing league, they went basically entire robot umpire. I'm not saying we need to get there yet.
I do.
Maybe we do eventually. I don't disagree, but let's get the A's into a major league ballpark first, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, I think that it's just going to continue to evolve, and even in the little clips we were showing earlier, like it's a very quick process, and the quicker you're able to get that, the quicker you're able to get it to the point where it's easy. Like you said, for a ball strike, you can move on. You don't have to worry about, is this going to be a bad day for Buckner? Is this going to be a bad day for Holden?
Yeah, it doesn't matter who's back there.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. And I'm interested. I don't know if it'll come up or it'll happen, but I'm sure at some point it will, just because gambling is so prominent now in sports. There's going to be a call at the end of a game, and I know the review takes no time at this point, but there's, like you said, there's going to be one that's going to be like so close, it's going to take a little longer. Or as Aaron said, the system goes down, they can't get it. And then because the system doesn't work or some malfunction, they go with the call and it's the wrong call, which then screws all the people who had bets on the game or something. That's where I think that'll be the first real like, oh shit, now we got to figure this out, because it seems like every sport, as we've now welcomed gambling into the world of sports, at least, that they are all worried about making sure they get it right, because there's so much money involved in those gambling and all those casinos as well. So that will be something they'll have to keep an eye on moving forward. So, but all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you both coming on and talking abs with me and baseball, and mentioning the Dodgers and that they're winning again. But other than that, thanks guys for coming on. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Of course. Thanks, Corey.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Let us know in the comments below how you feel about the new ab system. Obviously, the three of us are enjoying it. Also, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok at RVUFTB, and let us know why the robot should be calling all balls and strikes. I don't know. It's just my thoughts.
Robot uprising.
Hell yeah, let's do it. All right. Until next time, Benchwarmers, stay ready.
See ya.
This was a Sycamore 4th Studios production.